Burnout can make you feel stuck, like there's no way out, but there is always a way forward. It just takes recognizing the signs and being willing to prioritize your own well being, even when it means making difficult decisions. Welcome to She Self-Invested. I'm your host, Lodisha, and get ready to tune into your go-to podcast to feel empowered, to show up authentically feminine in male-dominated spaces, while prioritizing spiritual self-care. Let's invest into ourselves together, starting now. Hello, work besties. Welcome back to She Self-Invested. As always, I'm your host, Lodisha, and I hope that you ladies are having a prosperous work week. Welcome back to the spiritual side of this podcast. Today's episode is a continuation of episode 6, The Art of Letting Go, Releasing Workplace Frustrations and Finding Peace. If you haven't listened to that one yet, I suggest you go back and start with that episode because this is a continuation. Just a little synopsis on that. We actually discussed just the process of letting go, especially when workplace frustrations seem to just be taking a toll on not just only your professional life, but your personal life. I also talk a lot about my experience leaving the film industry behind and how that affected me. And lastly, the physical signs that I knew it was time for me to find a new path. Which brings us to today's episode, From Burnout to Breakthrough, Healing and Reclaiming Your Purpose in a New Career. Let's get into it, ladies. Burnout can affect everyone differently. It's like a silent thief. It slowly drains your energy, your passion, and sense of purpose. In this episode, we're going to explore what burnout really is, how it manifests, and why so many of us experience it in high-pressure environments like the film industry. Whether you're constantly feeling exhausted, emotionally detached, or questioning the meaning behind your career, these are all signs of burnout creeping into your life. It's something that can literally affect anyone, but the good news is there's a way out. In this episode, we'll dive deep into my personal journey of burnout and career transition, and more importantly, how I reclaimed my purpose. I'll be sharing key lessons I learned along the way, like how to recognize when burnout is taking over your life, the importance of listening to your intuition, and how to navigate the fear and uncertainty that often comes with making a career change. We'll also talk about actionable steps you can take if you're feeling stuck in your career and ready for a breakthrough. If you are one of my work besties that are in the middle of a burnout or simply seeking more fulfillment in your work, this episode will provide insight, encouragement, and practical advice to help you move forward. So stay tuned, because by the end of this episode, you'll feel empowered to take control of your career. Let's talk about burnout. What is burnout? What are the signs of burnout? Burnout is more than just feeling tired or stressed out after a long work week. I mean, you're like done. It's a deeper chronic state of exhaustion that can take over every part of your life, physically, emotionally, and even spiritually. It's often a response to prolonged stress or feeling overwhelmed by responsibilities that don't feel meaningful, that don't feel in alignment with who you really are on a spiritual level. Physically, burnout can show up as constant fatigue, trouble sleeping, headaches, heart palpitations, stomach issues, or even body aches. Emotionally, you might feel detached from your career. You might start feeling a lack of any sense of accomplishment or fulfillment in your life. It can feel like a loss of connection to your inner purpose, leaving you questioning why you're doing what you're doing in the first place. The signs might seem subtle at first. You might start feeling a little more tired than usually, or less enthusiastic about something you once loved. But over time, these feelings can grow until they become almost impossible to ignore. It's gonna grow into something that you have to address. These signs might not seem like something serious at first. You might just think, oh, well, I feel a little tired than usual, or you might make an excuse for why you're less enthusiastic about something that you once loved. Maybe it's baking or cooking or dancing. That's why it's important to pay attention to these signs early on, because burnout doesn't go away on its own. It tends to deepen and spread into other areas of your life if they're left unchecked. In my opinion, one of the hardest things about burnout, specifically for me, is how quietly it creeps in. You may think that if you just push through, things will get better, but burnout doesn't work that way. It has a way of affecting more than just your work life. You might find yourself more irritable or completely feeling disconnected from the things or people, sometimes it's people, that used to bring you joy. Your mental health starts to decline, with feelings of anxiety or depression becoming more common as the burnout deepens. For me, burnout in the film industry started to cloud everything. At first, I tried to ignore it, thinking that, okay, well, I am working these long hours, so maybe that's why my body hurting. I mean, I had every excuse in the book to not want to deal with what was going on with me. But I started to notice that I wasn't just feeling tired after a long day on set. I was constantly exhausted, no matter how much sleep I got. My passion for wanting to work in the film industry started to decline, and the TV show that I was once excited about working on felt like a heavy burden to me. Over time, I felt myself growing more and more disconnected from work and the people around me. What once felt like a creative outlet now felt like it was draining me spiritually. Now that I'm looking back, the signs were all there, but I didn't want to see them at first. I remember burnout being a heavy topic in film school, but of course I ignored it. Why? I'm stubborn. I didn't think that it would happen to me. The turning point for me was realizing that I wasn't just having a bad week or a bad month. It started becoming a pattern that was slowly stealing my joy. It wasn't just about feeling tired or stressed anymore. It was like this deep, lingering exhaustion that no amount of sleep seemed to fix. That was when I knew I needed to make a change in my life. But it wasn't easy. Burnout can make you feel stuck, like there's no way out, but there is always a way forward. It just takes recognizing the signs and being willing to prioritize your own well-being, even when it means making difficult decisions. Working in the film industry can be both exhilarating and overwhelming. When I first started, I was so eager to learn how to wire up actors. I wanted to learn how to boom. I wanted to know what the clappy thing is on film sets. I'm being funny. Basically, I was just so engulfed in the process of filmmaking. I love how so many different crews came together to make something so beautiful. I've met some of the best people of my life. I will say my takeaway working in film wasn't the craft, but it was the people. And just being around people who were passionate about what they were doing, that kind of like did something to me. I'm just like, why don't I feel that same spark when I come to work? Why am I not excited to talk about working in the sound department? Why am I treating this career as an imprisonment? Like, that's what it felt like spiritually. Because once again, I'm seeing people express themselves through their clothing. They have like hats made just for them. Like, the film industry is filled with some of the most creative, artistic, intelligent people you'll ever meet in your life. But once again, why didn't I reflect that same fire back? I would pay attention to the expression on their face when they would ask me like, oh, well, what made you get into sound? And my vague response, I would just tell them like this, basically the same journey I told you guys. Like, I'll tell them, okay, didn't really want to do sound in college, but I needed one more credit to graduate. I had to do an internship, end up finding an interest in sound, and now I'm here. And they will look at me like, that's your story? And it didn't dawn on me until I started to understand other people in other departments, meeting ACs, women that work in the camera department. Like, one of the women that I've met, she's a photographer. She loves photography. She loves the camera, so it makes sense why she likes to be behind the lens. To me, that's passion. And I thought to myself, well, I do like music. Mind you, completely different thing, completely different from working in film. But I just thought, like, I like music. I like the idea behind concerts. I like the concept of TED Talks and public speaking. And then when I started telling myself what I like, I thought about it. I'm like, why does that sound like my interest is more in the live events aspect of this industry than film? My very first show I worked on, I asked my sound mixer, had he ever thought about being like a sound engineer for concerts? And he was like, no, I hate live events. Oh my God, I would never do live events. And like, so when he said that, I think that kind of removed the interest I did have in live events. Although I didn't seem to find a passion working in the film industry, those questions that I was asking other people in other departments I started asking myself, like, why am I in this? Why am I working in the sound department? Why am I not passionate about what I'm doing like these individuals? And I felt like over time, when I started really digging deep and questioning myself, that is when I started feeling the anxiety of, what if I am in the wrong career? What if this isn't a career that I want to spend the rest of my life in? What if I might want to pique my interest in live events? Like, these are the thoughts that I'm thinking. So over time, with me working the long hours, me questioning what I'm doing with my life, I finally hit a breaking point. I had tied so much of my identity and self-worth to having a career, not just in the film industry, but just having a career in general, to wanting to say that I used my degree after I graduated college and, oh, well, I'm working in the film industry. I had to realize none of those things mattered to me. If anything, I want to see who I am outside of the film industry. I want to create a path for myself outside of being a sound utility, outside of doing and being what everyone else expects me to be. Yes, there were moments of doubt, fear, and even grief. Walking away from a career that I poured so much of my energy into, literally my tears and sweat into, 4 years of college into, just to walk away. Like, imagine how I felt. Imagine how I thought other people were going to perceive me. Is it easy walking away? No. But I had to confront the reality that what had once been a dream career for me was now the source of me feeling soulless. It was the source of my pain. It took me doing a lot of self-reflection, soul searching, to come up with this fact that it was okay for me to let go. That it was okay to prioritize my own well-being over the expectations of others. Spiritually, I felt disconnected from myself, but I realized that I had been so focused on external success that I had lost sight of my inner peace. Even though the decision to leave the film industry was difficult, it was a decision that allowed me to reconnect with my true purpose and to reclaim the parts of myself that had been lost along the way. Letting go is hard, but it's necessary if we want to create a space for something new and more aligned with our soul's purpose. That's what led me to my next chapter in the live event industry. Transitioning to a career as a ground rigger has been a complete shift from my previous work as a sound utility. In this new role, I'm a part of a team that's responsible for setting up the infrastructure for live events, such as building stages, rigging lighting, and sound equipment. Our main priority is to ensure that everything is safe and secured for performances. It's much more hands-on, physically demanding work, but in a way that energizes me. Unlike working in film, where I often felt disconnected from the end product, here I can see the tangible results of my efforts immediately, which gives me a sense of accomplishment. Working in live events has reawakened my passion and joy for what it is that I truly enjoy doing. There's something fulfilling about being a part of a team that comes together to create experience for others, whether it's a concert, festival, or corporate event. This new career aligns with my values of teamwork, creativity, and collaboration. And it allows me to contribute in ways that feel meaningful and aligned with my spirit. Making this career switch has been a transformative journey of personal and spiritual growth. It forced me to step out of my comfort zone and confront the fears I had about starting over. But in doing so, I've become more resilient, more grounded, and more in tune with what truly matters to me. Spiritually, I've reconnected to my inner peace, learning to prioritize my well-being and trust my intuition. This new path not only nurtures my career, but also supports my personal growth, helping me to live in a way that's more authentic to who I am. Healing from burnout did not happen overnight. It required a deep commitment to self-care and creating space for my spirit to heal. One of the biggest changes I made was setting boundaries. I began to prioritize rest and downtime. I also got into boxing. I mentioned that in the last episode. Boxing helped me release the tension and stress that I was dealing with. Like, it helped me let go of leaving a career, even though I had other people's voices in my head about me making a wrong decision, about how I'm missing out on so much money. And it's just like, when I hit that punching bag, all of those voices disappeared. And boxing mentally and physically changed my life for the better. Spiritually, I lean heavily on practices that help me reconnect with myself, like meditation, yoga, prayer, and journaling. These rituals allow me to process my emotions and release the stress I had been holding on to. Taking long walks in nature, y'all know I love a good walk, spending time in reflection, and allowing myself moments of quiet were essential parts of my healing journey. It wasn't just about escaping burnout, but about nourishing my soul. If you're experiencing burnout, the first step is acknowledging that it's happening and giving yourself permission to make a change, whether that means switching careers or making internal changes within your current role. It's important to prioritize your spiritual well-being. Start by setting boundaries, learn to say no when necessary, and make time for self-care that nourishes you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Consider incorporating practices like meditation, journaling, or spending time in nature into your own routine. These can help you reconnect with your purpose and realign what truly matters. Even small changes, like taking time each day for yourself, can make a huge difference in your healing process. Reclaiming your purpose after burnout is possible, but it requires self-awareness, courage, and a commitment to your well-being. You are worthy of a career and a life that nourishes your spirit rather than drains it. Don't be afraid to take the leap into something new, whether that's a different career path or a different approach to your current position. With time, reflection, and a focus on what truly brings you happiness, you can heal from burnout and rediscover your purpose. The journey may be challenging, but on the other side is peace, fulfillment, and a life that aligns with who you truly are. Burnout can be easy to overlook, but it's often our mind and body's way of telling us that something isn't working. Recognizing those signs early on is key to protecting your well-being. trusting your intuition, especially when it's telling you that it's time for change. It can be difficult, but it's one of the most important steps towards realigning with your true purpose. Your career should be something that uplifts and supports you, not something that drains you or dims your light. Take a moment to reflect on your own career. Ask yourself if it's still serving you in a meaningful way or if it's taking more from you than it's giving. Be brave enough to make the changes necessary for your mental, emotional, and spiritual health, whether that means making small shifts in your current role or embracing a completely new path. You deserve to live a life that brings you peace and fulfillment. Trust that when you follow what feels right for you, you'll find a career that aligns with your authentic self and allows you to thrive efficiently. As we wrap up this episode of She Self-Invested, I encourage you to take a moment to reflect on your own experiences with burnout and career fulfillment. What shifts might you need to make for your mental, emotional, and spiritual health? I'd love to hear your stories. Share them with me on Instagram at sheself_invested or leave a review. Let me know how you ladies felt about this episode. Stay tuned for next week's topic, where we'll dive even deeper into self-care, healing, and empowering your career journey. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so that you don't miss out on valuable insights coming your way. See you in the next episode.